Hello, everybody. How are you doing today? My name is Tony Zano, and welcome to episode 231 of the world famous University Love podcast, also known as Online Marketing Moves. We are coming to you live today. Today is March the 23rd, 2021. Somebody remind me to cancel my YMCA membership by the 28th. I keep forgetting. I haven't been to the gym in over a year. Pandemic, baby. Uh, I'm gonna work out from home. I don't know about you guys, but I still haven't really been anywhere, just working and coming home. But that's just me. But I have some good news for you. Today I looked, I as I discussed before, every now and then I peek at the stats of the show, see if we're headed on the up, on the up and up. And today, boom, we got maybe 125 downloads in the day. I said, you know what? Today's a good day. I mean, listen, I know this, you know this. Starting something new, creating content, trying to build something. It's an uphill battle, It's challenging, it's tough. Sometimes you do get frustrated because you're like, I just want those million downloads, but everybody and their brother has a podcast, so you have to just sort of sit back, relax, and just take it as it comes. Try to do the best promotion you can, do as much marketing as you can, and just you know make sure you're producing great content. Make sure the audio is great for podcasts anyway. But that's for any kind of content you're trying to create. So I was like, that's a small victory. So you have to celebrate the small victories as well as the big ones. Don't get too frustrated by the defeats, the losses. Sometimes you get annoyed. I was off for. We didn't do a podcast for 5 days, and those 5 days, I was like, it's not a lot of downloads, but I was like, I expected it. Today I wasn't expecting it, so I was like, oh, this is nice. This is a nice change. But mm, sometimes we have a nice spike. We are at the point now where we're getting steady listenership, which I greatly appreciate. And sometimes we get more people, and then sometimes I'm sure people hop off. But the most important thing is that we are, for the most part, consistent. The most part, we produce a podcast every day. Now, as I told you, your content doesn't have to be every day; it could be every week. But if you want to get into a real strong habit of doing content on a daily basis, I mean, if you want to get into doing content on a regular basis, I highly recommend that you do it daily, because after a while, at first, you do it, and you're like, what am I going to talk about? What I'm going to talk about? But then once you start really getting into it, you could come up with topics. You could just be listening to the radio. You could watch TV. You could be talking to somebody, and you could just find something to discuss, and you can create it into what you want to talk about on your podcast. So that being said, today we are going to talk about just being yourself, just being you when it comes to, online marketing, when it comes to making money online. And why do I bring this up? Because, a couple months ago on the pod, probably a month ago, I believe, on the podcast, I discussed, making phone calls, making sales calls to people. I'm like, should you text? Should you make a phone call? And, I was thinking, phone calls. I mean, phone calls don't get me wrong. They work, but if that's not what you're comfortable with, then don't then try to text people or try to send them videos, whatever you think can work best for you, try that for a while, give that a try. Don't try to do something that's going to give you anxiety or give you, or set you back where you just don't do anything, like do something, you don't always have to do what you don't always have to do what people say. You don't always have to go with the norm, if you're not comfortable with that, if you're not comfortable with YouTube, if you're not comfortable with something, then do what you think you can do. Eventually you work your way up to it. You knock out the fear, you knock out the trepidation, whatever you might have. But in the beginning, if you just want to start producing, you just want to start trying to make as many sales or make get as many leads as possible, then do what works for you. Try to go to don't try to get too ahead of yourselves. Don't try to, get out there and just do something you're not gonna be, comfortable with. And then you just don't do anything. And that's the worst thing that you can do. Doing nothing is worse than just not even giving it a shot. You know what I mean? And what inspired me to talk about this was I was listening to this book today by Woody Allen. Woody Allen wrote a biography a couple years ago. And it's I like Woody Allen movies, His personal life, I don't know, I don't know. I don't know the man personally, so I don't know, I can't, I mean, my wife was watching the documentary about him and Mia Farrow and his adopted kids and everything like that. So I didn't watch it. I mean, I just know I enjoy some of his movies. He's a very interesting guy when it comes to that part of his life. I'm not really caught up in the whole, did he do it? Did he not do it? I don't know. It's very his case is very strange because, he was accused of, you know, what was it, molestation, I believe. I don't know. I don't even know what he was accused of something. That's all I know. Something to do with children. You know what I mean? So, but his is, I don't know. To me, in my opinion, his is different than, say, Michael Jackson's or something like that, because it's like, why did he get accused? It's a lot of different variables in that situation. But anyway, back to the subject. He was talking about movies that he's written, and he was talking about how he tried to write a movie in the same style as the Tennessee Williams. I don't know if you know Tennessee Williams, but he was a playwright. He wrote Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, things of that nature. He said he was trying to make it dramatic like Tennessee Williams, but he said he was not Tennessee Williams. So he said the movie did not do so. The movie did not go over so well. And he said, I got to do what works for me. I can't do what works for Tennessee Williams. And they got me to thinking. That's one of the problems I used to have just throughout life, just trying to be something that I'm not, like trying to be, I give you an example. All right, 15, 16 years ago, I started driving trucks. I became a truck driver. That was my occupation. It's not who I am, but that's my occupation. But for some reason, I used to really be like angry and annoyed that I was driving a truck. Like I was almost like ashamed of the job, But it's not a bad job. It's not bad at all. It's not a bad career option at all, you know. And I picked it. Nobody came to me and put a gun to my head and said, "Hey, man, start driving trucks, or you gonna get got," So for some reason, I used to have a real, when people be like, "Oh, what are you doing?" I'm like, like I didn't want to discuss anything like that. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with the job. There's nothing wrong with the career. There's a lot of different ways you can go. There's a lot of different ways things you can do to not actually have to drive the truck, but still be in transportation. But I was so blinded by the fact of me driving the truck. I didn't really get the big picture. I didn't see the big picture. I had tunnel vision. I just saw what was ahead of me. And that has gotten me trying to be something that I'm not has definitely gotten me in a lot of trouble. And, I mean, sometimes I've done very dumb things trying to be something that I'm not. So I'm just here to tell you, don't try to be, don't try to go, like I was telling you, if sales calls are not your thing, if you rather just meet people online, if you rather just, go to Facebook and meet people, or, have you, like I said, eventually, if you get to know somebody and you are trying to make like a high ticket coaching call, or say you want to be a coach, let's say you want to be online, let's say if you want to be a coach and consultant, something like that, and you want to charge somebody $5,000, $7,500. Now that I would definitely make a phone call. But how can you make the phone call easier for you? You can warm the person up. You can get to know the person online. You can email them. You can chat with them on Facebook. You can do all kinds of things to ease the burden of you making a phone call. instead of you just making a straight cold call. Okay, so those are different things that you can do. So that way you won't feel so uncomfortable. You won't think, because a lot of people equate, when you're making phone calls, it's not bad. It's not as bad as you think, but a lot of people equate that to, they're gonna be pushy and you're gonna try to be, people are gonna try to harass you. But no, you just pick up the phone. This is all I do. When I call people, it's just an opportunity, and they can say yes, no, or they can just say. Most of the time, they just say send me the information, and they never look at it. You follow up, and then they don't respond, and it's just like, all right, it's not a big deal. It's not as painful as you might think. But some people are uncomfortable with the telephone. Some people feel like they don't want to be in sales. But at the end of the day, if you're doing affiliate marketing, if you are in the whatever niche you're in, you are trying to make money. So you are at some point going to have to be a salesman. You don't have to actually be you don't have to be the quote unquote, stereotypical salesman, like, hey, brother, let me give you a cup of coffee and let me sit down and let me powwow with you and chit chat with you. And let me slang you a bunch of BS. No, you don't have to do that. You don't have to be something you're not, as we just discussed. But you definitely, if you're going to make high ticket sales, things like that, you might want to pick up the phone and call somebody. But you can always warm them up. It's one of the more important things. But getting back to the subject, just don't try to overreach. Don't try to, don't try to do 50 things at once. If it's something you can't do, then find somebody else that can do it for you, and outsource the stuff. It's like, I got to, I do this, I record a podcast, and I record the podcast, upload the podcast myself. But eventually, when I start doing the YouTube on a daily basis and the other videos and stuff like that, I'm going to find somebody to outsource so they can edit the video and upload the video for me, because I'm not great at that stuff. I'm not going to try to get great at it, because, for the time being, yeah, I had to do it myself. But in the next month or so, I want to find somebody that would help me out, do it on a daily basis, because I want to start uploading videos, because with the podcast and the videos, I can be more present online, and that's the most important thing, because the more you are out there, the more people see you, the more they will get to know you and get to like you and get to trust you, and that's when you can start making real sales, and you can really start pushing this whole um online thing forward. You know what I mean? So I say all that to say, whatever you do in life, doesn't matter, online, offline, don't try to be something you're not. I remember one time, I'll give you another story. I know yesterday what I said, but I'm just giving you some examples today, because some of you listening to this podcast are probably in your early 20s, and you're probably trying to figure out your life. And I'm here to help you out. And so I don't want you to make some of the same mistakes I made. I remember one time when I was I was right out of the military, and I went home. I went back to my hometown to go to this place I used to work at. I just wanted to buy a hamburger, and I remember the lady said, "What are you, a heart surgeon by now?" Because in school I used to make pretty good grades, but I was like, no heart surgeon. She's like, "Well, when are you gonna be a heart surgeon?" And then I remember it bothered me for like a week or so, and I was just like, "Man, I should have been a doctor, right?" And then I'm like, "No, I should have been a doctor. I couldn't afford to go to school to be a doctor. I could barely afford to go to school for the one semester I went. You know what I mean? Like, come on." So I definitely can't afford to go. I definitely couldn't afford to go to school and then try to go be a doctor. Like, please, like. And why did that bother me? Because I'm like, man, I should be somebody. But it's like, you already are somebody. It doesn't matter, title, occupation. That part doesn't matter. It's no shame in whatever you do. If you clean buildings, you clean buildings. God bless you. I've worked in some of the crappiest places. You know, I remember for a month, I used to just pack ice cream in pack ice cream in a box. You know, the pay wasn't that great. It was fine, you know what I mean? It didn't bother me now. You know, somebody saw me and said, "Hey, what are you doing?" I'm like, packing ice cream for the moment. You know, it's not like it was the end of the road. You know, it's not like I should be ashamed. You know, so that's what I want you to avoid. You know, I don't want you. You know, whatever situation you are in right now, it's the situation you're in right now. You know, it's not forever. You know, nothing's forever. You know, life ain't forever. So don't think, oh man, I'm not where I want to be. I'm doing this, I'm doing that, and just take it all in stride, live life one day at a time. Because as I told you before, if you've been listening to this podcast for a while, I always say the same thing. Greatness is already in us. Sometimes it just takes us a long time. Some of us, it takes us longer to figure that out than actually, but greatness is in all of us. Greatness is in you. Greatness is in the next person listening into all of us. It's just sometimes we have to figure that out. Sometimes you have to figure it out the hard way. Sometimes somebody might tell you, oh, you know what, this person's right. But just never be ashamed of where you're at. Never be ashamed of what you do. Never try to do too much. If you don't like, it's like, I like to write. I want to write more. I had to find the time because it's just, my life is just, kind of tough at the moment. But I definitely, like yesterday, I wrote three pages, very fast, and just I'm learning just to write, just start writing. It doesn't matter what you write, just write, and eventually that's where I want to go. I just want to write like books, fiction, nonfiction, doesn't matter. I just want to write. I just That's what I want to do, and I'm gonna write fast. I'm gonna write thoughts out, and eventually I'm gonna try to write a movie script. And I mean, it's just what I want to do. And it's like, what's stopping me? Nothing. Like, what's in the way? Nothing. You just have to. There's no. Used to think when I was growing up. I grew up in the '80s and the '90s, and used to think, man, how have you ever gonna make it to Hollywood? Like, how do people get picked? Used to think it was some kind of magical spell. No, you just hop on a bus and go to LA and get some headshots, and you say, hey man, I want to be an actor. This is what I want to do. So whatever you want to do, just take action and go do it. Just try it. And it's not. And sometimes you don't need a safety net. Sometimes you just take the leap. I remember my friend, he was telling me, my friend, he runs a donut shop, and he said, yeah, my last day of work when I was working at this bakery before I opened up the donut shop, they was congratulating me, and it was like, yeah, man, you did it. And he said, hey, hold on now. He said, I could be back in 6 months, so let's all wait. He said, lucky for him, it worked out. But you know, I mean, he did that when he was like 28. So everybody's time frame is different. Everybody's road, everybody's journey is different. My wife, she started running her business at the age of 30. So them 28, them 30. I'm probably gonna be like a 45-year-old screenwriter. I'm By the time I'm 46, I'm gonna win an Oscar for writing a movie. Okay. And I'll be like, hey, I'd like to thank the Academy. And I'd like to thank all my podcast listeners. So I greatly appreciate y'all. you know, but no, I mean, it, I'm telling you, age, none of that matters. And never. I know it sounds like I'm rambling, but trust me, I'm making good points here. Just, just trust me. Just try not. Don't who look deep. Sometimes you have to look deep. Sometimes you have to look deeper. Sometimes you have to go past it. You have to go deep and figure out who you are, what you are, what you want to do, and once you do that, that's a beautiful thing. Me myself, it took me a long time to actually figure out what I am, what I want to do, like where I want to go, like who I am. And the who I am part, I just figured that out, you know, not too long ago. It's amazing, but you know, now and then every day you just learn more. You learn more stuff about yourself. You learn sometimes you learn, hey, I got everybody has problems. Everybody has good qualities, everybody has everybody has good qualities about them. Everybody has, not so good qualities about them, but that's okay. You just have to show more of the good qualities than the bad qualities. But the bad qualities, they are what they are, like in my family, some people have some people are addicted to alcohol. Some people are addicted to gambling. So I have to be very weary about addiction. Like I can't get, like if something happens, I get excited and then I'm just like, I don't want to stop. And I'm like, all right, there's that addiction. I feel it. And sometimes you don't realize that you can get addicted to anything. You know what I mean? So I definitely have to be careful about that. So that's me, and that's my, thing. So you might have something in your family that, you see in people, and you're like, oh man, I gotta avoid this, because I'm telling you, you try to, I avoided the alcohol. I don't drink a lot, and I avoided the drugs. So we're good to go with that. The gambling, I play the lottery now and then, so I avoided that. And it's like, what else am I what else could what else could I be addicted to? And it's like, am I addicted to, you know, like I used to eat Jelly Bellies, and I'm like, am I? And I used to eat them like I used to just eat them like stuff them, and I'm like, damn, hold on, am I addicted to Jelly Bellies? And it's funny, and it's not that it's funny, but it's not funny. It's like, you know, you just want to avoid that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? So I'm telling you, people, I know today's not an episode about making money online, but this will help you make money online, because once you figure out what you are, who you are, and what path you want to take, it's a lot easier. You'll start making the money you're looking for. But of course, we both know it's not easy. You just have to. The most important thing you can do is get leads. That's the most important thing about this. Anything you want to do, whatever you want to do online, whatever you want to do online, the most important thing for you to do is get traffic. Okay. And you want your own traffic. You want warm traffic. You want your kind of traffic. You want your people. You want people to see the offering that you have, and they at least look at it, check it out. As I tell you, I email every day, and so every day people open up the emails and people look at the offering. A lot of them haven't bought yet, but I'm just gonna keep sending the emails, and we're gonna just keep adding people to the email list. And of course, once I get my real real website up, then I'm definitely gonna start doing a hell of a lot more things to draw in more leads, and we're definitely going to raise the bar, as we talked about yesterday. But because now I really, those 5 days I took off, I actually figured out, which direction I want to go in my business, which direction I'm going to head into. And so the make money online niche is where I'm at right now. Then once I establish a base and start generating enough money to leave the trucking, then we'll start, focusing in on the writing on a full-time basis, so that's the plan for me. So you come up, your plan is not going to be the same as mine, but figure out what kind of plan you want. Write it down on a notebook. I wrote mine down on a notebook, wrote out 4 or 5 pages yesterday, and it didn't take long at all. I just put, where to get leads, where to get traffic. Now I have to write down tonight, what subjects are we going to talk about on the podcast on a regular basis, how to talk about that, what kind of videos we're going to start doing, all that kind of stuff. So just want to be prepared. So, ladies and gentlemen, figure out who you are, figure out what you want to do, and figure out where you want to go in your life. And once you do that, and I mean really do it, just don't kind of half it, don't kind of half do it, really, really focus. if it's one day that you don't do anything when it comes to online stuff, that's fine. Just figure out where you want to go, figure out what you want to do. And I'm telling you, you'll be better off for it. All right. And come up with a game plan. But ladies and gentlemen, that's it for today. That's it for the podcast. I hope you enjoyed this episode. We will be back tomorrow with the all new episode of Online Marketing Moves. But until then, my name is Tony Rizzano. Thank you for listening. Oh yeah, if you haven't already, go to YouTube, subscribe. Right now it's Tony Rizzano. Within the next, as I told you yesterday, in the next month or so, we're gonna change all that. But you can go to there and subscribe, or you can go to Facebook. You can like. You can find the page Online Marketing Moves. You can like it. You can share it with a friend. Share it with anybody you want to. And in the meantime and in between time, ladies and gentlemen, we will talk to you tomorrow. And as always, everybody, peace.